What's up, everybody? This is Jeff Loves Jets with another unboxing video coming for you today. It's a rainy day, so I'm stuck inside the house, so it's a perfect day to be doing this. And if you may have seen last week or so, I did an unboxing video on the Virgin Atlantic 747, the Star Wars livery, and in that same delivery, I also got this McDonnell Douglas MD11, and this is the first aircraft, model of the first aircraft that was designed and built. And this is a JC Wings model, and this is JC Wings JC2MCD353. And I purchased this from Collectible Jets, which is where I get a lot of my aircraft from. It's also diecastairplane.com, so you can go and check out their website. They do a nice job of showing you the new releases, and I get a lot of pre-orders from there. So I pre-ordered this some time ago, and now it's finally showed up, so I'm going to unbox it today. So let's take a look at the box. And JC Wings always does a nice job with their packaging, and this is no exception. We have here the diagram of the aircraft, and then all of the airlines that originally sort of signed up to be carriers of the MD11. And of course the MD11 was based upon the very successful DC-10, and I'll go into some detail about them as well. So let's have a look at the side of the box here. And the nice thing about the packaging is that on the side of the aircraft it has all of the different airlines that had signed up to use the MD11, and it's kind of cool that they've managed to put all those on the box as well. Let's look at the back. Oh, hey, got some nice detail here. Got some dimensions, which is always fun. So we have the overall length and some of the specifications there. That's pretty cool. And then the underside of the box is basically the same as the other side you already saw. So let's take it out and have a look. And the JC Wings does a real nice job with their sleeve. It kind of makes everything a bit more interesting. And one thing I also like about the MD11 is that it is this polished livery. So for those of us that have been buying these American Airlines aircraft with the polished livery, this has got the same kind of interest level, at least for me. We've got the metal stand here, and we got the MD11. So JC Wings, I don't know if they're just doing it because these are a bit more special models, or if they're getting back into doing more display here on the actual stand itself. It's nice to see the MD11, McDonnell Douglas MD11, and of course McDonnell Douglas is now part of Boeing, so that purchase was taken place in 1997. And I'll go into some more detail about that. So we got our stand, we got our little pad here to protect the aircraft, and then we'll take the plastic cover off the top here. We've got our gear, so that if we want to have our aircraft in the in-flight position, we can either have the door covers. I don't know. Oh yeah, we have here's the covers if we want to have it in the in-flight look, and then here's the gear for the standard look. And I kind of always use the gear because I just think it looks more interesting. And the models always have if the gear is done well, it really offsets the model nicely. Okay, so let's take this out. And there it is. And that polish just makes such a huge difference to the overall appearance, especially this one has a lot more detail of the polish on the slats and the flaps here. That's a really nice kind of feature. There's a lot going on in this model, and it's cool that they've really done a nice job with it. So let's check it out. So on the front here we have our radome nose cone and the cockpit windows. I don't see any wipers unless I get just the right light. I can see the wipers there actually on the windscreen. Just about make those out. And then here's the L1 door with all of the carriers that the aircraft is flying. Very cool. And of course it has the experimental, because this was the first aircraft with the first MD11, so this was used as the test bed, and it was intended that this aircraft was going to go to FedEx. So the first two MD11s were already set to go to FedEx, and This aircraft is still currently flying with FedEx. I'll have to check out where it's currently located. They actually had already built in the cargo door. If you see here, just before the L2 door, you can see that they've got the cargo door already installed, even though it has windows. I don't think the aircraft actually had windows, but obviously it's been fully converted to freight. So then we have down here, we have our NOCA duct intakes, static ports, and it looks like a couple of hold access here, doors to a hold, and then also our pressure release valves. Here's static ports here further down the fuselage of the aircraft. And I think I'll just take a little cleaner here at some point. It looks pretty good, but just got some little bit of that packing grease or manufacturing grease on it. And we have the L2 door. There is an insignia here to the left of the door that I can't quite make out. I think it's the McDonnell Douglas insignia, but I'll have to look into more detail and see if I can figure out what that is. And then we have the L3 door with that really nice sort of red trimming, sort of hazard paint around the outside of the door. And then we have the L4 door. Of course, this aircraft has 8 doors. We have our registration, November 111 Mike Delta. And then we have our horizontal stabilizer. And of course, this aircraft, very similar to the Tristar made by Lockheed. The DC-10 was originally designed as a mid-range or long-range, mid-capacity, wide-body aircraft to sort of fill that 270-seat range, smaller than the 747, but larger than the 757, etc. So this job was filled by the DC-10, and the DC-10 and the MD11, of course, have the 3-engine configuration, 2 on the wings, and then 1 at the base of the vertical stabilizer. The Lockheed LTL-11, of course, has the S duct with the engine inside of it, and that was obviously mired in many delays. You can see those videos on my channel, which will go into much detail about the Tristar. But the iconic 3-engine aircraft of the 80s or 70s and 80s and further on into the 90s have really kind of changed the face of the airfield. But it's always really cool to have been able to check out these aircraft back in the day. And I really like the whole style of the empennage, where we have the vertical stabilizer and then the engine. Of course, all that polish, so it looks really good. It's got a nice feel to it. It feels very solid and realistic because it has those nice features. So let's look at the top of the aircraft. Got that classic tail there. And we have numerous antennas here. We got the auto direction finder antenna. I think this is probably going to be a satellite. The MD11, of course, 2 flight crew can operate this aircraft because it's got a glass cockpit. We have our VHF antenna here, anti-collision beacon. Then here on the forward part of the aircraft, we see numerous antennas here. These would be your air traffic control, traffic collision avoidance systems, distance measuring equipment antennas would be located up here. It's kind of hard to track down exactly what all the antennas are because there's not a lot of good renderings that show you which antennas go on which aircraft. But really nice with that polish. Makes a really major difference to the whole appearance of the model. So let's look at the starboard side of the aircraft here. Alright, we have our R1 as well as our airline tail codes there, and then we have the door to the lower freight compartment, and then we have our static ports here, NOCA ducts here. We should have some pitot tubes here, and it looks like another small access port here to the lower compartment, storage compartment area. Pressure release valve, the R2 door, over wing exit. And then the registration again, and our very aft exit. And then another freight access door here. Very cool. Let's look at the underside of the aircraft. And we've got numerous antennas again. We've got the flight crew escape hatch. This door will allows the people in the cockpit or the flight deck to exit the aircraft. They can go down through the floor in the cockpit into the avionics bay, and then this will let them out. Then we have our hole for the stand and where the doors would be. We have a VHF antenna. Then we've got a drain here. Continue on back. We have the hole for the stand. Then the MD11 has the center gear, kind of like the DC-1030 does, and like the A340 does, the Airbus A340. Anti-collision beacon here. And then we have the APU exhaust, APU housing area here with these doors. And another drain here. And the underside of the wings, let's take a look. Again, that silver looks really good. Need to put a little polish on here and that will clean right up. But we can see our flaps, the flaperon, our outboard flaps, the aileron, and the winglet. We have a winglet on the MD11, whereas the DC-10 does not. This is designed to increase fuel efficiency. The underside of the wing, and then our engines. Let's look at the other side here. And then of course don't forget our slats here on the leading edge. And that nice MD11 on the winglet, that's really cool. And on the top here we can see our flaps again and our spoilers. They've done a very nice job here with the hinges of the spoilers. You can really see those. They stand up so you can really make them out nicely. And then our aileron slats again. Looks to be in great condition. So it's just got a really nice look to it. Really is a beautiful aircraft. Of course, all flying freight these days. Let's take a look at the stand here. And it's a nice snug fit into the stand. Let's get her centered up here. It's a little off, it won't quite sit perfectly level, which sometimes kind of bugs me because I really want that to look good, and if it's on the stand, I want it to be nice and straight on the stand and not sort of wobbly, whereas this one's kind of, you see it kind of wants to sit and lay over on its starboard side. Very nice. So let's go into a little bit of detail. So this aircraft is serial number 48401. Line number was 447. Of course, it's an MD11. Current registration on this aircraft is with FedEx as N6 November 601 Foxtrot Echo. And the first flight of this aircraft was January 10th, 1990, and was delivered to FedEx 27th of June, 1991. And this uses the GE CF6-80C2D1F model, which is very similar to the 747-400 aircraft. And the length on this aircraft, 202 feet 2 inches. Wingspan, 170 feet 6 inches. Width, 19 feet 9 inches. Height, 57 feet 11 inches. Maximum takeoff weight, 602,000 pounds. Still, that's a large amount. And the range on this was 6,725 nautical miles. Maximum fuel weight is 258,721 pounds. That is 38,615 gallons of fuel. And the max thrust on these engines, 61,500 foot-pounds. And the engine fan diameter, 93 inches. So Some detail on McDonnell Douglas, a major American aerospace manufacturing company formed by the merger of McDonnell Aircraft and Douglas Aircraft in 1967, and merged, as I mentioned before, with Boeing in 1997. And of course, Douglas Corporation made their McDonnell Douglas, that is, made the DC-10, the MD-80, as well as the F-15 and F-18 fighter aircraft. And their corporation was headquartered in St. Louis at the St. Louis Lambert International Airport. The DC-10 was developed as a mid-capacity long-range wide-body aircraft and flew of August 1970, and that was the original precursor to the MD-11, and that was a 3-engine aircraft as well, and the third engine with the base of the vertical stabilizer like we see here. And it was developed at the same time as the Tristar and in competition for the same customers, and American Airlines was the airline that chose the DC-10 and kind of forced this aircraft, or pushed this aircraft into the main. It wasn't as efficient as it was originally thought it was going to be, so they've had to do some different renditions to make the aircraft more efficient and match up with the standards that were originally set out when the aircraft was designed and developed. The American Airlines chose the DC-10 and then introduced that in August of 1971. Production ended in 1989 with 386 airliners and 60 tanker aircraft delivered. Its successor here, the MD-11, was launched in December of 1986 and made its maiden flight, as I said earlier, the January 10th, 1990. And it also has a slightly larger wingspan than the DC-10, which allows for a larger maximum takeoff weight and also an ability to carry more passengers and their luggage. So it could carry a maximum of 298 passengers in a 3-class configuration, also having a glass cockpit. And in 1985, the board of directors of McDonnell Douglas authorized the Long Beach plant to offer the MD-11 to potential customers, the 320-seat version with 6,800 nautical miles, and a shortened DR version with a range of 7,500 nautical miles. Price on these, $95 million a piece. The first 2 aircraft, as I mentioned, set for FedEx, and the first delivery passenger was to Finnair in December 7th, 1990, and the first revenue flight that Finnair flew was from Helsinki to Tenerife, and that was on December 20th, 1990. Some of the airlines, because of the aircraft wasn't meeting the performance specifications that had been set out, actually canceled their orders, so Singapore Airlines was being one of those. Production of the MD-11 ended in 2000, with the last 2 aircraft being delivered to Lufthansa in 2001. And this was basically the result of competition from Boeing itself with the A330, or excuse me, the 767 and the 777, and then competition from Airbus in the likes of the A330 and A340. So currently there are 102 MD-11s in operation, all freighters, 57 with FedEx, 42 with UPS, and Western Global with 14. Some of the original airlines that had signed up to purchase the aircraft would have been China Eastern, Korean Air, American Airlines, Japan Airlines, Delta Airlines, Swiss Air, KLM, China Airlines, Varig out of Brazil, Eva Air, Thai, Alitalia, Malaysia, Garuda, Aer Lingus, Finnair, LTU International Airways, World Airways, Saudi Arabian Government, Martin Air at Holland, and VASP, another Brazilian airline. So that goes into some of the detail of that. Let's have a look and see if we can get these engines to spin, and we'll check it out. Okay, so let's have a look. Got my can of air here. Nice, that spins really good. And that one not so much. And then let's have a look and see if the one in the tail spins too. Yeah, there is a fan down in there. But that one doesn't spin at all. I think it's actually a solid disc fan there. It's kind of hard to see. Put that back on the stand. And let's get this gear going and see how it looks on there. So let's see here. We got the body gear. The wing gear. And the nose gear with the steering gear actuators facing forward. And they do turn. They do roll. These ones roll. The middle body gear not so much. But they do tilt. Very nice. So I'm sure a lot of collectors are going to be picking this model up, as they should, because this one does have such an interesting look to it, and the McDonnell Douglas shines so brightly there, and the livery looks so good. I just really like that red, how it offsets the metal of the fuselage, and with just a limited use of paint here and there. Very nice. So let me know if you got this model or if you're going to be picking this one up. As I mentioned, this was pre-order for me, so I'm sure this is also sold out as well. And it's going to be very hard to find. And I know we got a lot of MD11s out there and DC-10s in different liveries, but this one being so unique and iconic just because it's that very first aircraft and just the very basic look. I think that when they were doing these developments back in the early 90s, that this was a really nice, appealing look. And of course we had American Airlines with their all aluminum livery, and just the way that everybody has just been drawn to that. And now that American Airlines has switched their livery, everyone's kind of missing the old one a lot. So, but yeah, this is another good collection edition, and I'm excited to have this one on the shelf. So let me know what you think. If you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit that button down there and give this video a like. Keep supporting my channel. Helps me out a great deal and keeps this content coming. So thanks a lot for watching.